I want to do another pet ranking video. It's been a while since I've done one. The last time I did one, we only had 9 pets in the game, and they've released Vex since then. So I think I want to do a pet ranking video with all 10 pets. So let's get started here. And I'm going to rank them from weakest to strongest because I think that's just the best way. We're going to go with like the one I rank as the worst and then go up from there. And so we're going to start with Fenris, who is the worst pet in the game. Most people I would think would agree with this. Fenris just is not that good. His Thunderous Roar, it blinds enemies for 3 seconds. And it does a little bit of physical damage to those 3 enemies, which 20k physical damage, not a lot of damage. 3-second blind, not a long duration, plus it could be blocked by Ode to Serenity. His passive skill, blinded enemies take 50% extra damage, which can be good if you can land blind, but because Ode to Serenity and stuff is like dominant in the meta, like you'd have to strip Ode to even make this useful, and then this only lasts 3 seconds. And then his patronage skill, this is a big reason that Fenris is just a fell, is that his patronage ability sucks. Like, this is easily the worst patronage ability in the game. The master gets a chance to blind enemy with their basic attack for 2 seconds. When Fenris max out, it's a 40% chance. Just 40%, just basic attacks. And if you do land blind, it only lasts 2 seconds. I mean, it is bad. Like, it could be more interesting if it's 100%, because then Kira could be potentially be an Ode stripper with Fenris, but it's just, no, this just ends up being really bad. What's worse is that his stats, like, for a long time, he was the only pet that added armor penetration, which is the only reason to ever consider him. But his physical attack, he also adds physical attack, but other pets add physical attack, like Kane, and Kane adds 50% more physical attack. Like, why did Fenris have such more physical attack compared to Kane? But like, both of them were original release pets. These are both some of the original, from the original 6. Why does Kane have better physical attack than Fenris? Who knows? But Fenris got the short end of the stick, and they also just released Vex recently, who does have the same like max physical attack and the same armor penetration. So now there's not armor penetration and physical attack pet, and it's literally strictly better than Fenris in this regard. So it's like, yeah, no, it's just Fenris. Fenris is just bad. Like, there's just really no reason to use Fenris in the vast majority of cases. With Vex being out, like, Vex is most people you can put Vex on, you could also put Fenris on, so there's no reason to use Fenris if Vex is available. The few heroes, like, you know, where it might matter is someone like Ishmael. Like, you probably still want Fenris for Ishmael, or there's sometimes fights where you might want Fenris on Sebastian because you're using Oliver and Albus on someone else, but Fenris is definitely your third choice for a patron on Sebastian. You only use Fenris if there's no other option. But it's just really niche. Like, you don't want to have to put Fenris on somebody in most cases. Like, this is a low priority. This should for most people, this will be the last pet you work on, because Fenris is not that good. So moving up, this the ninth best pure pet, or the second worst, is going to be Biscuit. Biscuit's his ultimate, it blocks healing for 5 seconds, which is not bad, but it doesn't block self-healing, doesn't block vampirism, so it's kind of weak. Does a little bit of damage, but again, not a lot. So it's okay. There's some uses for it, but it's just meh. Magic Snowball throws it. The first enemy heals self. Snowball deals magic dash, slows the target. The throw takes 10 seconds to prepare, so it just takes a while. It's just not good enough. It's a single target. It can be blocked by Ode to Serenity and stuff, so it's just not that good enough. The main reason you use Biscuit at all is for his Stay and Chill ability. This is a patron. That means all attacks made by the owner reduce healing received by the enemy for 5 seconds. And this is all attacks, not just basic attacks like Fenris. This is all attacks. There's a 100% chance to land the status effect on anyone that's using him as patron. And Biscuit by far has like the longest patronage list, so there is a benefit there. So there's a lot of heroes that could potentially make use of Biscuit. But you don't even need, because it's 100% even, like, when you don't invest in it, you can literally just get Biscuit to Violet rank and level 60 and keep him a 1-star. You don't even need to evolve him, like, and to get the main benefit out of this, and that's stripping Ode to Serenity. So Ode to Serenity is like kind of like the whole meta is built around Ode to Serenity. And Biscuit is the best counter to Ode to Serenity in most cases. Like, this is generally how most people deal with Sebastian, is to put Biscuit on a hero like Maya or maybe Corvus or a bunch of others. So if there's quite a few heroes so you can put on, Maya's usually probably one of the best. Heidi can be good. But that's generally Biscuit's main purpose, pretty much like his only real purpose. There's a few niche cases where you might use an active pet, but not really. So moving up to number 8, it is the newest addition to the game, Vex. Like Fenris, Vex is a patron that you can add physical attack and armor penetration, but he is better than Fenris because he adds more physical attack. His patronage ability is also quite a bit better than Fenris's because this is the owner's physical damage tax gives the target up to 5 stacks of deep wounds that vanish after 8 seconds. So this is a debuff. This can also be used to strip Ode to Serenity on physical attacking heroes. It's a much smaller patronage list than someone like Biscuit, though, but this is 100% can be used for strip Ode, put on Kira. Like, this could be really interesting that way. Artemis might not be bad either. Like, there's a few heroes that do a lot of like physical hits that can help strip Ode to Serenity. Kira's gonna be like the best one, but Ju's also a hero you need in a lot of content, so you'll use him on Ju a lot. So this is a pretty solid one. Just his patronage ability is really good. And then Noxious Cloud, it's an interesting one because this is a field effect, so it's not blocked by Ode to Serenity or anything like, but it does reduce the physical, so it deals physical damage to and decrease the armor opponents for 5 seconds. Decrease the armor, like in a field effect, this is way better than Fenris. This is what Fenris is kind of trying to do, but this is way better than that. And then you have this one, which is curse the opponent with the least health for 7 seconds, makes them take extra, but again, this is a single target debuff, so it's pretty easy to block in most cases. If you can land it, though, it's not bad, but this is he's pretty much a better version of Fenris. So we're going to rank him at number 8. Like I said, he's not that easy. Like I said, we're kind of the point where this is, like I said, decent for patronage. Most you're probably not going to use a competitive, but his patronage is pretty solid. Number 7 is going to be Merlin. Merlin is one of the 6 original pets. Probably the most notable thing about Merlin is that Merlin is the only pet that buffs magic penetration, which is really important. There's quite a few heroes who can use Merlin. Like, it's just like if you use Crystal Large, you probably want Merlin Patron because Merlin lets Krista land her ice spikes more often because Merlin's patronage also increases the speed of their magic damage skills. Which is pretty important, like on a magic damage character. Like, it could be good on Celeste too, because it lets her use her Cursed Flame more often. Like Orion, Helios, both good. Like I said, only pet with magic penetration. Helios doesn't really have a lot of penetration, so fine. Helios can be good. Like I said, Mojo could be good. Sometimes I use Merlin, like I said, on my B team in the like my B and C teams and stuff when I'm doing my raids. I do use Merlin on like Thea a lot. But Merlin's one of those pets, like I said, if you use mages at all, you will probably want Merlin as a pet. And then as a actual combat pet, you probably won't use him too much, but this is his Magnus Magica is a field effect. It does go down and lets you do extra magic damage to the enemy's effect. It also does quite a bit of magic damage like itself. It's kind of like what Vex does, but this is a magical version of it. And there are some lineups where you can really make use of this against certain teams to do extra damage. Like, this is just this is a pretty good ability. I mean, most of the time there's better pets, but there are lines that can really make use of Merlin, so don't count this one out. This one's not that good though. It's just a debuff that gets blocked like most of the time, so if you can land, it's a slight decrease in magic defense, but minus 10k magic defense, not a big deal. Alright, so that was the bottom 4. Now it gets to like the harder part where it gets a bit harder to rank them, but I think in number 6 we are going to put Mara. And that's mostly because it's not that Mara's bad. Mara's actually pretty good, but she's mostly a patronage only hero. Like I said, but her patronage is really, really strong. It's one of the stronger patronages in the game because it increases the duration of stun, blind, silence, slow, charm, and mind control effects by up to 200%. So if you are putting Mara on your hero, like Arachne or something, like the classic one, like there's Arachne, like you can make the status effects last 3 times as long, right? Like you have, right, if Arachne's stun normally lasts 5 seconds, now lasts 15 seconds, and Mara Patron can single-handedly win you games. The big sticking point, of course, is Sebastian. So you do a lot of times will have to use Mara on your control hero in conjunction with a hero that can make use of Biscuit to strip out. But if you can get this on, Mara can be really strong. Mara's other abilities, like you don't use her as a combat pet too often. She can be okay. She does a magic damage, not a lot, but if they have a status effect, she has triple damage, but it's still less magic damage than Merlin does. The more interesting one is mind control, because she can mind control a hero for 3 seconds. This also has some interesting, can be used against certain heroes like Kayla or Luther, because she will cause them to walk back to their side of the thing, because like Kayla and Luther like to jump to your back line. And if she mind controls them, they will actually just walk back towards their own team, which will, like I said, so there can be uses, but again, this only works if they don't have Ode to Serenity up or something like that, so not the most reliable ability, so you won't probably use her in combat a whole lot, but a Deadly Weakness is a really, really good ability. It's hard to overstate like how good this ability is. Like it is, it's a really good ability. Just, it's like control teams are pretty much built around this ability. Like if you watch my Let's Play series, that's pretty much what I do. I use Arachne and Maya. Like I have Arachne with Mara Patron, and then I have Maya with Biscuit, and that's how I get a lot of my wins. But yeah, so let's go into so that's the bottom 5. Let's go to the top 5. And in number 5 spot, we have Oliver. Oliver is, well, he is the only pet that gives you health as a patronage bonus. He also gives you armor. A lot of pets give you armor, but he is the only pet that gives you health. This is pretty good on heroes like Isaac, who gain charge faster with more health. Korus does more damage with more health. So there's Sadness. Also, Oliver has a really long user list. So there's a lot of heroes who could benefit from him. But the main reason you want Oliver, though, is for this Eternal Bloom's ability, because this gives a hero regen for every half second. So 11,064 health every half second, or 22,128 health every half second. And also if you have Axel as your base pet, as your actual combat pet, you can boost this by almost 50%. Like it just does ridiculous amounts of healing. And this is like a really key point, that Oliver is like a necessity for guild raids. If you want to fight Osh the Eternal Keeper level 160, you need to have a really strong, ideally maxed out Oliver patronage on Isaac just to fight that encounter. Otherwise, Isaac will die really quickly, and you do need Oliver to help keep Isaac from dying. Like it just, that the health regen just gives plus the higher thing lets Isaac charge faster, plus the health regen keeps him alive. So just super, super important. And there's just a lot of cases where Oliver, like I said, especially on defense, like a lot of times you can time out to Oliver patron. This part of why Celeste is so good, because she can counter Oliver patronage. But we have all probably everyone has lost fights to Oliver patronage. Timing out, they kill the whole team except the tank or whatever. And because they can't kill the tank, because the tank is like regenerating health way too fast. So Oliver's just really good. We haven't talked about Oliver's actual abilities. Active skills, not that good. Shields allies with the Magic Shroud, restoring their lost health as soon as they take physical damage. This only works on physical damage, so it's not that good. Does have some synergy with Julius, as we've seen in the Archdemon event, so that's worth noting. But otherwise, you're probably not going to use Oliver over Axel in like 90% of the cases. Like it's a lot more niche. And Pixie Dust, not a particularly good ability. It's a really small heal, 22,000 point heal, like once every so often. Like if you want to boost healing, like Axel is just way better for like an active pet. But yeah, no, main reason you want him though is the pet patronage ability, which is really good. This brings us to number 4. And this might be the more controversial ones, but I'm gonna put Albus here at number 4. Albus is a really good pet. There's a case that he could be higher, but I'll get into that in a bit. But Albus though, like, that's what's not to like about Albus. Albus, like his ult, he does a lot of pure damage. You have 243k pure damage when he's maxed out. That's a lot of pure damage. But it even gets better because his concentrations ability lets him add all the pure damage of your allies. Like if you have allies like Heidi or Maya or Jew or whatever doing pure damage while he's charging, Albus will double that pure damage. Will do 200% of that. So if you did 1,000,000 pure damage with your team while Albus is charging, Albus will then add an extra 2,000,000 to his ult. So this can add a lot of pure damage. There's a lot of teams that are literally built around this. There's a lot of PvE events where you want to use Albus as your pet. I mean, Albus is a pet you will use in PvP on some teams. Like he's really good. And his patronage skill is also pretty good. I mean, it's not as like comically busted as some of the other ones, but it is a good patronage ability. In that it adds like almost 75% pure damage. So if you put this on a hero like Maya, this will almost double her damage. Like also important to note, it also buffs magic attack, also buffs physical attack, but also has the lower physical attack like Fenris. But it does buff magic attack, which is the main reason. Like so this is probably more important. Like, but the main reason you just want this big boost to damage because this is a huge boost in damage. Like I said, on Heidi, Maya, Yasmin, Iris, like any of your pure damage dealers. Like this can do a lot of damage. Or Korus, like I said, it can do a lot of damage, but probably the one most people associate with is Sebastian, because this is how you get the really high damage numbers in guild raids. You put Albus on Sebastian against Osh the Eternal Keeper, and all those crits that Jew gets will allow Sebastian to do massive pure damage crits. So this is like where Albus shines. He's just a really good pet. You definitely want him. And this leads us to number 3, which is Kane. Kane is a really good pet. He's arguably the best patronage of the game just because it gives you pretty much 35% extra energy. So 3 dodges on a dodge hero. Like 3 dodges mean you have full energy and you can launch an ult. And this has been meta defining. Like you see heroes like Aurora and Dante everywhere, and it's because of this patronage build. Because of Kane, Aurora and Dante are top of the meta. Like they dominate the meta because of Kane. You also see other heroes like Heidi. Fairly often Nebula is used to a lot of places. Like Kane is pretty good. Like, but Aurora and Dante also are. Aurora, Dante, and Heidi are the only 3 heroes in the game who buff dodge as artifact weapon buff. So they also let your team dodge more often. So this kind of stacks with Kane, and like I said, against certain teams that do lots of physical attacks. You can literally watch like a hero like Dante or Aurora literally cough up like 6 or 7 dodge buffs, and it just literally just soft locks physical attackers out of the game. In certain stuff, like I said, just Kane just kind of broke the meta, like for physical attackers, like really has made it the meta. It's really hard to be successful as a physical attacker in the meta, largely because of Kane. Kane also, like I said, he is the only pet that buffs dodge as well. If you go with your stats or if his patronage stats, only pet that buffs dodge. He also buffs physical attack, and he has the full 9957.6 instead of the 2/3 of that. So that's really good. But even his actual active skills are pretty good. So every time your hero dodges, they gain a charge. This does physical damage. But like if you're playing in manual, like in a guild war or something, you can use this to like do the killing blow against Rufus or the magic team. I've done this many times. This is actually not too bad. It can do quite a bit of physical damage to a lot of heroes if you're getting those 20 charges, which again, when you're dodging as much as like an Aurora led team or Dante led team, you can max out Kane pretty quickly and get that full like all those kunais and do like 300k damage to the front of their team. And then you have Invisibility Mastery, which is a passive skill that increases dodge for the entire team. This is a mitigation boost that works from the very beginning of the fight against teams that are like have a lot of physical damage, something like a team that might have Dante as the quote tank. This is actually a really good ability because it gives your heroes a chance to actually just mitigate that damage. Like even if because Dante will usually come out faster than like a hero like Axel or Oliver can do anything. Because Axel and Oliver, they do absolutely nothing in the first 15 seconds, whereas Kane is providing you a mitigation boost against physical attackers at the beginning of the fight. And like at max level, I mean, this is like a 15 to 20% chance of dodging, depending on the attacker. Like it's significant. Like it's not a high chance of dodging, but again, this stacks with all other dodge buffs though, so it's just a nice mitigation boost for the team. So just it's a pretty good package. Like, but really though, this is the big one though. Like Dark Patron, it's a meta defining ability. Don't underestimate Kane; he is really good. And this gets us to the last two pets, which are both really, really, really good. And it's hard to place. Like I said, we have Axel and we have Korus. There's a strong case for both of them being the best pet in the game. But we are gonna go with Korus as number 2. Like I said, the main reason we use Korus, like I said, Korus, unlike others, like he's the one of the pets where he is stronger as an actual active pet rather than a patronage. Like his patronage ability is okay, but we'll talk about it. But it is the main reason we use Korus. He is indomitable. His passive skill enables allies to block certain control effects. Effects blocked by a skill charges runes in Korus through in a circle. Following skills triggers effects, triggers skills, silence, charm, blinding, stun, and mind control. So those 5 status effects will, like, he has a chance blocking some. It's a little over 70% chance. You could boost this with the pet flag, with the war flag that boosts pets abilities. So you can boost it about 73, 74%. Which is a pretty significant chance of blocking. Like I said, he kind of can be used as a in place of Sebastian against certain lines, or it's kind of like a second Sebastian in like your Clash of Worlds or something, because you only use Sebastian once, so you can use him as kind of like a alternative. You can pair him with something like Polaris to kind of win beat control teams that way. So it's really good. Flock's Vengeance. Every that Korus charges runes his runic circle. He also gets more charges for blocking status effects. He gets 3 for silence, 2 for charm, and 1 for blind, stuns, and mind control steady blocks. This can do quite a bit of damage. It does it said he targets the one that did the most control effects too. So this could be really good against like a Leon or something like that. Like he will usually target them. It's not bad. It's like I said, this is not a bad ability. I mean, Indomitable, those the big one. It's really on Sora. It's not bad. It's not like a great patron ability, but it's not a bad one. What it does is allows a mage hero to convert like 50% of their magic damage into shield. The allies with the aura convert 25. So it also adds the aura between the two allies with intelligence as their main stat in front or behind them, and those allies in front or behind them will get 25% of their magic damage dealt in the shield. There are certain lines where you can get all 3 allies with the bonus, but most of the time you're just giving the one hero the shield, and it's like their max shield's only 100k, which it's okay, but it's not like it's an okay ability. It's okay. It's not like as good as what Axel does, though. We'll talk about Axel's patron. Axel's patron is pretty much just better than this. I mean, there's just said. I mean, it's just a better patron. Use Korus kind of like an alternative if you're already using Axel on someone though. And this leads us to Axel, who I rank as the best pet in the game, but not by much. Like, there's a strong case that Korus is better because Indomitable is probably the best best ability far as active pets go. But far as like said, like Bubbles Justice though is also a really good ability, and this was pretty meta defining for a long time. Maybe not quite as much these days, but for a long time, Bubbles Justice was meta defining. And I still recommend using Axel against Ash the Eternal Keeper. A lot of times, I think that's pretty good. I mean, I use Axel, especially for using Stone Cold. I think a lot of times Axel is better. You can use Albus. Some people prefer Albus. I generally think you can get better consistency with Axel because you can keep your team alive. But Bubbles of Justice, this redirects damage between all heroes proportional to remaining health, so it kind of keeps them all losing health like equally to keep them all alive. So this is a pretty good ability. And its healthy snack ability lets them increase lets them increase healing. Axel grows magical seaweed under the ally with the lowest health. That seaweed increases all healing received for 10 seconds. Seaweed activates when healing is first received. So like this is can greatly boost healing, especially on like because a lot of healing abilities target the ally with the least health. So this will usually trigger on that ally, but also a lot of times when there's only like one hero left, like say a tank with all of our patron, you now have the seaweed growing on them. And now they're all over Patreon. Instead of doing like 22,000 healing a second, it will now be doing like 32,000 healing a second. And right there, can definitely cause timeouts. Like I said, just but Bubbles Justice, really good ability. Like I said, was meta defining for a long time. Still is in a lot of ways. It's just a really good ability. And defensive blob, I touched on this in the Korus when I talk about Korus, but this protects an owner, the owner for powerful attacks. Damage from a single attack cannot exceed like 44.995% of a hero's max health. So this means it protects against one shots. Like this is super important. Like this makes it, like I said, if you want to put this on your squishy hero like Celeste or Lars or something, now like I said, a hero like Kark or Cornelius or whatever can't one shot them. Like this is, like I said, pretty much like I said, single-handedly took Cornelius out of the metagame, like greatly hurt Kark, hurt Jew teams. Like I said, Axel was such a, when Axel was a 7th hero release, like he was such a meta changer. Like I said, Bubbles Genesis changed the whole meta, defensive blob changed the meta, like healthy snack is pretty good. Like it's just Axel's like the complete package. Like he's a really good pet. Like I said, all the top 3 pets pretty good. Actually, top 4 even with Albus. Like they're all pretty good. But Axel, I'm gonna give him the #1 spot. Like there's a strong case that Korus is the #1. Like because the Undomitable is just so good. But I do think Axel gets the edge just because I do think defensive blob is quite a bit better than resilience for it. And Axel has a lot larger list of people you can put defensive blob onto. So. That's the thing. They both add like the same stats of magic, attack, and armor, so nothing to really say there. But yeah, that's how I'm gonna rank it. But yeah, like let me know in the comments what you think. And if you missed my previous video on this where I ranked all 9 pets, you can find that one down below. Thanks for watching.